So.
Okay. So we're recording right now?
Yeah.
Is
it live? We're live. We're live. We're live.
Okay, so I see that it says live, but does this actually record like the
Oh,
blab records?
I don't know if it will archive, but we are live.
Okay, we are live.
Yep.
Don't look at me. I'm going to mute myself for the moment. Somebody else talk.
Well, I'm going to talk, but we're not actually going to start the show until we know that we've actually like got more than 3 of us.
Okay, I'm going to tweet this out right now.
Now, is this on Marketing Land's YouTube channel as well?
Dude, I have no idea. I'd have to take a look.
No, it doesn't look like it is.
Okay.
All right. So no, it's not.
Sent out the right link. Let's see.
If you send out the right link, I will retweet it. We are kicking off Marketing Land Live on Google Hangouts now. Join us here.
Yep.
That worked?
Yep, I think so. Let me check. Oh, I can't check because it's going to ask me to leave this call to join this call. So.
Okay. Tech is so wonderful.
It's great, especially today, man. There must be a full moon or something.
All right, give me control of the power for a minute. Hello, everybody on Facebook. This is our first attempt to come to you through Facebook Live via Google Hangouts, which was supposed to be via Blab. We're sorry it's all kind of screwy, but we're going to go with it anyway and try to improve it even better as we go along. So, back to Matt.
So I'm checking to see if you are on Facebook Live right now.
He is. He is.
We're there. We're ready to go.
There it is. Look at that.
Start the show.
Facebook Live. Look, there you are. Too cool. Amazing. You guys have no idea what we have gone through this morning to get this up and running. 47 minutes after schedule.
I will demonstrate the setup to go from Google to Hangouts. We're shooting through the phone over to the computer, and it's going to be awesome. Okay, I'm back.
Do you remember Eastern Airlines? It's like an Eastern Airlines flight. Never started on time, but it eventually got you where you wanted to go. So that's who we're trying to be today. Oh my gosh. Okay. So we are on Hangouts, we're on Facebook, we are not on Blab, and apologies to those who had bookmarked and tuned in and tried to join us on Blab. And we are hoping to get Barry Levine in. Are we going to be able to get Barry Levine in? I don't know. So, all right, so we will get started. Let's get started with the show. It's 9:48 Pacific time on Friday. Welcome to Marketing Land Live number 9, the show that almost didn't happen. We are talking about the week that was in online marketing with the marketingland.com team and friends. My name is Matt McGee. I am the editor-in-chief of marketingland.com and searchengineland.com and responsible for starting Blabs, and it did not work today. So maybe next week. Who knows? We'll see. Join us next Friday at 9 or 9:45 or who knows what time. We'll figure it out. And we have, we have Greg and Danny with us, and we may get Barry on later. Barry Levine is supposed to be joining us. So let's see if we'll just go with the 3 of us then. So why don't we do introductions? So each of you name and where in the world you are, and today I want you to tell me, let's see, who's going to go first? Greg Finn, you're going to go first. I'm going to put you on the spotlight. Name where you are and tell me your favorite actor and or actress.
Okay. All right, Greg Finn, Buffalo, New York, and what I do at Marketing Land and Search Engine Land is kind of jack of all trades, a lot of paid social, and kind of everything in between that doesn't necessarily have a certain channel. And my favorite actor, just I guess because of sheer craziness, I'd say the guy from Gangs in New York. I forget his name. What is his name? Daniel Day-Lewis? Yes. Just because I really enjoy all the things that he does, where he'll be, portraying a paralyzed person, and then just be in a wheelchair for literally 3 months, not getting up. And I don't know. You really feel like he's a boxer when you see him box.
All right, that's a good one. Do you have a favorite actress, or do you just want to stick with Daniel Day?
No favorite actress off the top of my head that I can think of.
All right, Danny, you're next.
I am Danny Sullivan. I am the founding editor of Marketing Land, and I am in Newport Beach, California. And I don't know favorite actor and actress. I just saw a picture of Amy Adams, so Amy Adams for actress, and I don't know what actor.
I thought you were going to say Zoe.
Well, yeah. But, there's a little more range with some other actresses, too.
Well, that's
Although
true.
she's excellent. I mean, 500 Days of Summer, so.
Okay.
I do like Bill Murray, I always love Bill Murray. So.
Right, you can't go wrong with that. So, all right, I am in Tri-Cities, Washington, where it is beautiful and 70 degrees outside today, and I think I already said that I'm the editor-in-chief of the two sites. My favorite actor used to be Gene Hackman, but he's not really doing much these days, so it's Denzel Washington now, who I would pay to watch tie his shoes. And my favorite actress is Scarlett Johansson, of course. I mean, come on. I'd also pay to watch her tie her shoes, so there you go. All right.
So I have an update. Barry won't be able to join us for technical reasons, so I guess you guys can just move on ahead with the three of you.
Okay. Well, do you want to be Barry?
I could try. We're both from New Jersey.
There you go. That would work. All right, so this is Marketing Land Live, and we are here usually at noon Eastern on Fridays, a little later today than normal due to technical issues. We usually chat for anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes with the Marketing Land staff, and we are recapping what's been going on in the world of marketing over the past week. And as always, opinions are our own, not representative of Marketing Land, Search Engine Land as a whole. And why don't we dive into the roundtable this week, where the news, lots of news this week coming out of the Bay Area, and specifically Facebook had its big developer event called F8. And Danny, you were there along with Tim Peterson and Greg Sterling from our team. Tim and Greg were unable to join us this morning, so the ball is in your court. Why don't you sort of give us your overall impressions and takeaways from F8? There was a lot of talk about bots.
There was a lot of talk about bots. They're going to rule the world. In fact, this future show will completely be done by bots. So, no, it's been an interesting. I mean, Barry, sad he's not here. He wrote a thing like the week that bots ate digital marketing or something similar to that. And it's really been both this with Facebook, and we had Build a week or just over a week ago where Microsoft announced bots. And it's really like suddenly now this is something you do want to pay attention to. For those that aren't familiar, especially in China, a lot of people interact and do commerce using messaging. And they'll be on their messaging application and they'll say, hey, I want to buy something. And, originally, this is explained to me by Derek Connell over at Bing, people would there would be human people who would answer them, and then they would get so many requests this way that they started building bots to handle the the easier stuff that you could do. So you'd have these bots that would go through and start ordering the stuff for people, and now it's a big business that these messaging platforms have turned into, almost like this little microweb, if you will. And so, of course, over here, all the players are now thinking, well, if that's the future, how do we go in to do this? How do we make sure that we tap into it? Microsoft is looking at bots as a new way that they can let marketers and developers build stuff up, and they're trying to come up with a universal platform that anybody can build it, and tapping into their artificial language abilities so that they can understand what somebody's asking, and tapping into their abilities to let everybody use common software. And so Facebook has done the same thing, but of course Facebook has Messenger, which is growing out of control. And this thing that they did at F8 was to say, hey, everybody who has a Facebook page now, you are on Messenger and people can message to you. And also, hey, developers, you can start building out these bots. And so, for example, 1-800-Flowers, you can order some flowers through bots. And so I did that. So I was like,
right.
Okay, let's see how that goes. So, and you can read it out on Marketing Land, but that was the whole thing. I wanted to actually because I was really dubious, like, yeah, I could order flowers through a bot, but I could just go online and do it. So I started this whole thing up, and it's like, okay, who do you want to send flowers to? And I'm like, well, let's send them to Mark Zuckerberg. So I started sending them to Mark Zuckerberg, right? And I couldn't remember his address, but I remember the first line of Facebook, and it was like one hacker away. And the bot, this is all going through a robot. It's like, oh, well, you mean the one in Menlo Park? I'm like, yeah, that one there. And it like showed me pictures, and I didn't quite get the flower arrangement I wanted. Like, I was given choices like love and romance, and he's nice, but there's no romance between us. And but I picked like a congratulations thing, a little heart with a smiley face. It would have been great if they'd had like a thumbs up. But I went through the whole process. It took me 10 minutes, and that was with me pausing and doing screenshots and everything because I wanted to write about it afterward. 5 minutes really if I hadn't been doing that, and I sent flowers. And he said thank you, and it was great. And then my wife said, why don't you send me some flowers too? So I did another batch. But, it really was. And Mother's Day will be coming up in May. And honestly, I will probably order the flowers using Messenger because it was so easy and it didn't take much time for me to do. And all my information's in there now. So
was it, was it actually easier than going on their website and doing it or placing a phone call?
It was easier doing it on my phone than it would have been going onto the website. And I have been to the website, 1-800-Flowers before, and they do try to make it easy, but it's still a lot of, oh, click, oh, here, oh, I got to type this stuff in. And instead, one of the things, like with the address, I only had to give it the first line of the address, and then it found the address for me. That saved me a lot of typing, right? If I'd already had my credit card registered, it would have been even faster, but still, yeah, I think it was definitely a real plus. and depending on the things that you do, I think where people are kind of getting maybe a little lost on this is there's this assumption that bots are now going to replace apps, which are supposedly had replaced the web. And there was a lot of talk at Facebook like no one's installing apps anymore, and they only have 3 apps. And part of me is like, you know what? I don't know that that's changed that much. I don't know that people suddenly have used fewer apps or don't want to install apps. You've always had these sort of giant apps that have been out there, and people will install apps for specific things. But the pitch is really that, some people don't want to install apps, but if you're building something for Messenger, then it's kind of like this universal app. I think really what's going to happen is you continue to have the web, and people will do stuff on the web, mobile and even desktop. You continue to have apps, and there's good reasons why a lot of companies may want to have apps. And then the idea of building out the bots for some of these platforms makes stuff as well, and these all will kind of coexist alongside each other as the web's been doing. I suppose email will work as well.
Now I saw, on Twitter I follow a lot of tech industry people. I'm sure you do too as well, Danny and Greg as well. A lot of journalists and that sort of stuff. And I saw, now your experience, Danny, with the flowers is better than a lot of the tweets I saw earlier this week, because I saw a lot of people saying that they'd already turned off all their Facebook Messenger bots because it was too annoying and it was constant alerts and this and that and the other. So that's not your experience?
Not so far, but I haven't subscribed to a bunch of them. So like I signed up for a weather bot and a CNN bot, and I am getting like the weather bot. I'm like, okay, I can turn you off. You're useless. I thought the weather bot was stupid anyway. Like I really need to turn on my phone. It tells you the weather. But certainly, if you turn and then subscribe to a lot of these things, like this other bot I subscribed to was like a mystery bot. It's supposed to take me through a story, and it's like, yeah, okay, I'm bored already. And then it's still every so often, it's like, hey, the guy's dead. You gonna investigate this? Like, no, I'm not. He's just gonna stay dead. But the notifications haven't been so bad. I also, at Build, turned on Telegram, and I signed up for a bunch of bots there, like a Star Wars bot. And yeah, it's sending me a lot of alerts every day, and I haven't even gotten around to turning them off because I don't care about all the Star Wars news that it's sending me so much. But, it's going to be like every other thing where your apps can send you so many notifications or whatever. I'm sure people will find a balancing point. I'm sure you'll hear people say, I'm tired of the messaging, and, kind of like they're like, I'm already getting Slack overload now, right? So, you can have too much stuff, too much of anything, but, there's some pluses definitely to it.
Now, now you already talked about bots versus apps versus the web. Where does this fit in with things like the Amazon Echo and with what Apple has with Siri and Google Now and Microsoft Cortana. Are these all like sort of interrelated in some way?
Well, Cortana ideally would tap into the Microsoft built bot tools. So the idea is down the line you'd say to Cortana, you'd have a conversation with Cortana and say, I want to do this, and Cortana would interpret your conversation the same way if you typed it in there. And the Echo could do the same thing if you get these things built out. And that goes to the unifying thing with all this. I think Chris Messina had called it conversational commerce. You had Microsoft talk about it as the conversational platform or conversation at the UI. But it's the idea that we will just talk to our devices, and our devices will talk back to us as if they're human beings and get stuff done. And the bot stuff that you're seeing is tying into that. That you could be able to speak, in some applications, and if the bot's smart enough, it should be able to figure that sort of stuff out. But as of yet, the Echo isn't sort of tied into it. But it's literally off the presses. With Facebook, it's literally out there now, and they're giving it out to all these developers. And the developers ideally can not just do these things for Facebook, but they can use some of Facebook's underlying technology to build this stuff out and embed it into their bots that they use on other platforms as well.
So you mentioned Barry Levine's article a little bit ago, and I think in that article, I think that's the one where he called this sort of a tipping point, because Facebook's not the first to get into bots, obviously, but by Facebook getting into it, it becomes sort of mainstream. Is that a safe way to characterize this?
Yeah, it definitely. It's sort of the equivalent of when like Google said, hey, Google Plus is live now, and it's in Google search results. There's like, all right, I guess I really do need to get that Google Plus account now. When Facebook has rolled this sort of thing out on Messenger, and people can locate stuff that way, it really is going to cause a lot of marketers to think, okay, I guess now I've heard about these bot things, but it's actually live in a platform. Should I do it? And it's not just like in Messenger, right? It's like they're going all in. Like everybody who has a Facebook page now has one of these messaging scan codes. Just look at my wall, and I'll find one for you. Everybody has one of these scan codes, you see, and the scan codes. Oh, how come I'm not there now anymore? How come it went away from me? You can't see me anymore.
Oh, well, I still see you.
I see you.
Oh, you can see me again. Okay. Anyway, so you get these scan codes, and you can scan them into your phone and add somebody into Messenger. You can. And they're going to be out on your pages as well, so anybody can follow on Messenger. And then I think the best thing, and I tweeted an example of this, is when you start searching in Messenger now, you'll get bots and businesses that may appear before people. And so, one of the issues there is, we're going to have Facebook Messenger optimization, and people may be searching for people and how how they can follow up with them. So.
All right, so F8 was a 2-day thing, right? There was some other news that came out. I guess on day 2, the keynote was all virtual reality related, or mostly, and then there was some other news about save button and I think there was a reactions API post. What other takeaways did you have, Danny, from the time that you were at F8?
So the virtual reality stuff is interesting, and they had like an oh wow moment for a little bit where they were showing people who were, doing a virtual selfie. They're all like on a bridge in London, and 2 people with virtual reality were like together, and that was all cool, but there's still not a whole lot of marketing stuff that kind of goes with it from there. That's still kind of watch and see. The 360 stuff that they were really big on, and Facebook Live, which is what we're doing now, kind of, they're really big on as well, with this whole kind of push that this is all about connecting people together. But those were sort of the weaker than the messenger kind of aspects. The 360 stuff, they showed this new $30,000 camera that anybody can build if they want. That'll help, I suppose, with people with high-level content if they want to do that. There's a big enough challenge just getting, more people to use the $350 cameras that do a good job and get all that content into Facebook. And the live stuff, they were very, very excited about, as you can imagine. So, but it almost felt like they're like, and now how do we fit the live stuff in there as well? And,
right, yeah.
It really was a story about Messenger.
So we're live streaming this right now on Facebook Live, and you did one. You I think on, was it Wednesday? You sort of walked the expo hall area. How did that turn out for Marketing Land?
It was good, and I should say, by the way, I'm hoping that it's working. Someone's telling me that you can't quite hear the video or whatever on Facebook, but then, oh gosh, hang on.
Now they can.
Now you can hear the video because it's coming up on my screen. So I'm hoping it's working on Facebook Live better. To come back a bit, one of the reasons we haven't been doing this show on Facebook Live is because Facebook Live is designed really as a single person type of thing. Interestingly, at the show they rolled out this thing where they've got this new camera where you can put it on a table and it allows you to do cuts and stuff like that as a third-party camera. And perhaps one of the bigger things is they talked about how Facebook Live is getting a new API so that you can bundle it into like a drone. The drone will go into it. Or ideally, we could use like our regular provider, Blab, and we could do it on Blab where it's really nice, where you can have everybody in different screens and it's almost like this CNN talking head type of thing. And then maybe you could stream that out to Facebook Live as well. But my walk around was really taking my phone, walking around the show floor, narrating to people what I was seeing, and I could see some of the comments that were coming in and taking some of that as well. And you know, anybody who's used Periscope or Meerkat before that understands it well. It's there's nothing special there in the sense of it's just live video, except that it goes out on Facebook, and Facebook has a huge audience, so that, you know, our show, I think we hit 1,000 people peak at the time I was walking around, which was a lot. You know, not Verge's 25,000, but we're a slightly smaller publication than Verge when they did theirs. And then, of course, it's out there in archive so people can watch it later on if they want to as well. And that leads into the whole thing, and Amy did a great story about this, the Facebook Live watermelon thing.
Right, the BuzzFeed thing. Oh my gosh.
You know, where they did Facebook Live and they had watermelon. I didn't know this was the thing. Like, if you put a bunch of watermelons around a bunch of rubber bands around a watermelon, eventually it explodes. And so I guess they ran that for 45 minutes, and they had a peak of 800,000 viewers at one point, and then it just, you know, and at this point, I mean, it's in the millions, so.
Isn't the internet great?
Yeah, that's what it was meant for.
That's exactly it. All right, so that's a good recap of F8. We'll obviously be covering further developments on the bot situation as they take over our lives and our phones and our devices, and Facebook Live and all that sort of stuff. Greg Finn, you also had a story you did. It's also Facebook related, so we'll stick with that. Was a study from Rival IQ that did the study, and they went back. They looked at the whole calendar year of 2015, and they analyzed activity. Was it across what section, what type of activity they analyze?
So what they mainly did is they went through and analyzed posts. So looking at frequency, engagement, and then breaking that all down, basically. So not only are we talking about likes, comments, shares as well, and then also they broke it out by different levels. So, you know, you could see some of the big brands, you know, the BuzzFeeds out there and how many posts they've had, and the engagement that came based off of frequency. And one of the really interesting facts from that study was that, again, just a little bit of backstory, in 2014 and 15, there was a big push against kind of that like gating, you know, where you'd say, hey, we want to really get some traction, some visibility, let's put up an image that says, you know, share for Bernie Sanders, like for Hillary, or comment for Ted Cruz or something like that. And again, this has kind of come to a halt there at the February range in 2015. So one of the interesting things when looking at engagement rate was that the engagement rate of shares actually went up year over year in 2015, and the other metrics, again, the rates of engagement of these metrics went down. So that kind of, again, there's a lot of assumptions that could be made and guesses as to why, but in the grand scheme of things, while the rates are kind of intersecting there, the study for sure shows that, you know, still likes are king. And again, this is 2015, so we're not talking about the sad face and love and all that.
Right.
It was simply likes. So there were a couple guesses as to why that could have happened. Again, obviously the end to like gating and trying to make it a more genuine experience with the engagement. The other was kind of segued into what Danny had been talking about with Messenger. That now you can easily share things via Messenger, and that counts as shares. So there's kind of a few different thoughts onto it, and then also there's again another guess is to say, hey, we're no longer out there trying to just force people to like us. It's not like for apple pie and comment for ice cream. We're now actually working on what we're sharing, right? We're not trying to do these hacky tricks. We're trying to put out really good stuff. So I thought that was a good lesson to have, for marketers. And again, it's just a sign that people are, actually sharing a little bit more and not doing as much, liking and, with that content.
It mirrors the story you did. Sort of mirrors my personal experience, and I'm not the heaviest Facebook user around, but I know when I'm going through my newsfeed, there is a lot more sharing of other pages' content, especially especially the tasty videos or whatever, and recipe and all that sort of stuff, and like it's like just post after post after post. So that certainly mirrors what I see. Is that sort of what you see as well?
Yeah, I think that's a good kind of nugget that it's changing to a little bit. You'll see a lot of people now, sharing this and saying, hey, we need to make this, at Matt McGee, and kind of getting actually taking that content that's awesome and sharing it. And again, what you're seeing now is a lot better content, like that tasty, that nifty. Yeah. They're putting it into these bite-sized pieces that just makes it easy to say, oh, guess what? I'm going to take this. I'm going to share it. Oh, and then on my own account, I'm going to get the likes on my share, right? So that it's kind of a way to say, hey, look, I'm just a really good curator of stuff. People like me. People follow me on Facebook. So I think it does lead into that in kind of a natural format.
I mean, as a page owner, you would want shares more than you would want just comments or likes or whatever. I mean, obviously, you want people to share that stuff into there, and so it goes into other news feeds and that sort of thing.
Right. I mean, with the problem that has been happening is that the decreased, visibility for brand pages, where, we saw continual decline, and so people are kind of resorting to these tricks and hacks to get some sort of visibility. So yeah, now it's nice. I personally don't see much of those, those nonsensical like this and comment for that. Again, I see more good videos and interesting stories and kind of, again, live stuff, obviously, as we talked about before.
There was, Danny, I'm going to ask you if there was any buzz about this. Last week on Marketing Land Live, when Greg, by the way, thank you for hosting last week in my absence, I think you guys touched really briefly on an article that The Information, another tech news website, had posted that talked about how Facebook users are doing less, original posting, and not, they're not just going on and saying, hey, here's what's going on in my life, and sort of sharing that sort of stuff that, maybe Facebook was originally built around to a large degree. Danny, was there any buzz about all this, about that sort of activity at F8 in any way? Were people talking about that kind of thing and changes in the news feed?
Not really. Nothing that came out there. And by the way, I think we couldn't hear Greg when he was talking. Apparently for some reason you couldn't hear some of the audio. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but we'll carry on. I'll take a look after I finish answering this question. But there really wasn't a whole lot of talk about that. I mean, they did sessions on newsfeed and publishing and Instagram and all that sort of stuff. They were very difficult to get into because they were very impacted. But there was no, the buzz was really, about Messenger and the bots more than anything else. There was no sense of, oh dear, Facebook's not going to be around any much longer.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I can hear you. But I can hear you fine. I can hear Greg fine as well. So, but if listeners are, if viewers are having audio issues, then maybe we can sort all that out.
I'm just a mime.
All right, let's move on. Topic number 3 and the last topic of the roundtable. Again, Greg, a story you did, which I thought was fascinating, and another I thought really well done study. And this one was from, oh gosh, you're gonna have to tell me. I can't remember the company name. And it was basically about Amazon SEO, and for online retailers that sell on Amazon sites. So we're not talking about SEO, how Amazon itself ranks in Google. We're talking about how products and merchants that use Amazon, how they rank in Amazon search, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was Ripen e-commerce. And what they tried to do is to break down the different factors that they could see that actually lead to higher visibility in search specifically. And again, they looked at, I think, 750,000 different search results, and really broke it down by a lot of different variables. So they were looking at Amazon bestsellers rank, which is an actual term and something that you can actually see a little bit more information on Amazon about. And you basically get stuck in a department and then a kind of subcategory within that. So they looked at that. Also keywords that are in your title, your feature, your description, if it was fulfilled by Amazon, or if it was Prime eligible but fulfilled by somebody else. And they found that the absolute number one thing is the Amazon bestsellers rank, right? So if you sell a lot of product, Amazon's not stupid. They want to sell more product, and they see that you're taking off. So, and again, another thing they looked at was the discount rate. So with some of these studies, it's really important to think of correlation versus causation. So, when you say, and so the top 2 factors were the Amazon bestseller rank. And then the second was if it was fulfilled by Amazon. So people that are Amazon Prime members and are, inherently familiar with Amazon may just be buying more from Amazon. It might just be a comfortable transaction. They may trust it more. It may help boost their, Amazon bestsellers rank. So, it's important to kind of look at everything, but again, it went with Amazon bestseller rank fulfilled by Amazon, and then getting into some keywords in the product title, and then Prime eligibility. So those were kind of the 4 main attributes to it. But again, if there are many products that show up at the top that aren't fulfilled by Amazon, so it doesn't mean you need to go out and be fulfilled by Amazon. It means more that, hey, can we make a product that can sell? Like that to me was the biggest takeaway. And there was another good example in there where you weren't limited to a certain department, right? So if I just went to Amazon, I didn't choose the department, and I just put in, headphones with microphone. What will happen is Amazon will basically stack a number 1 bestseller in electronics, and then a number 1 bestseller in a related department. So something like, let's say, cellular phone accessories. And then after that, it'll go number 2 in electronics, and then number 2 in cellular phone accessories. So that kind of shows to me how important that bestsellers rank is in actually, getting that visibility.
Yeah, I've always been fascinated when I do searches on Amazon that they're willing to, quite often show, like the product that is, sold by Amazon will be like ranked number 3, and they'll like rank, things that are sold by other retailers ahead of, the sold by Amazon. And so I've just always been fascinating that they're willing to, but they know it creates loyalty. If I'm, if they're going to willing to show me the same product at a little better price from a different, different source, then, it makes me more loyal to Amazon.
Yeah, totally. And the thing that it makes me think I'm a bad buyer or shopper is that I look off of reviews, right? And I just wish everything was based off of reviews. Every single time I do a search, I'm always sort by average user review.
Are you really? Okay.
Yeah, just because that I just want what's going to be good. So I don't really care what's selling. I know that I want to see what people are saying. So I get that's how it is now. But yeah, I mean that's another thing to take into account. Is reviews. Obviously, you could be up there at the top, but if you have an unsellable product, nobody's going to buy it.
That's true. All right, and we'll put we'll assuming we have a video that we will post a replay video that we'll post on Marketing Land on Monday. We'll put a link to Greg's Amazon story in that as well. I thought the study was fascinating and the write up of it likewise. So I think people should definitely take a look at that. All right, I don't have anything else for the roundtable. You guys ready to move on to the lightning round?
Yes.
It's only 10:20 in the morning Pacific time, so it's not like we're running late or anything. So all right. So lightning round. All right, let's do lightning round. Number one, I think a story this was that Ginny Marvin wrote. Google testing green ad labels in the UK and elsewhere. I think in Europe. In fact, I think I saw this morning on Twitter that something like 5% of searches are now getting this little green ad label. Greg, Finn, your take on that?
Well, the one thing I thought is interesting is that, along with the fact that there's no longer any ads on the side. We're now looking at a really kind of almost homogeneous looking, search engine results page, right? That you used to have a, yellow or blue box that the ads were in. That's no longer. And at least now you had that kind of, different contrasting ad label there. And if you take that away, people are really going to have to do some work to, to find out what's an ad and what's not, especially if you're doing it quick. So, I think that for a marketer who would, be pushing paid search, this would be phenomenal. I'd imagine click-through rates would go through the roof, and you'd be able to get a lot more traffic. I think it'd be good for Google too. Typically, they test things that'll help them out. But again, I think it really it almost muddies the water a little bit between what's organic and what's paid in there.
Danny, they've had issues over the years, haven't they, with making sure that you can distinguish what's an ad and what's an organic result?
If issues are they've worked well to not make you understand the difference, no. If the issues were we're going to make it even clearer, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I looked and I'm like, oh, I get it. They've changed the color of the ad thing so it looks just like the color of the URL. So we're like, okay, it's even less noticeable. FTC doesn't care. I mean, they literally don't seem to care. Like, and I asked them about it when we did our last show, and they're like, yeah. I mean, they're supposed to segregate all this stuff out. It's supposed to be like separate, and there's supposed to be color shading, and no one seems to care.
This is a drum that you've been beating for several years now.
Yeah, you can see I don't care. I mean, I don't know what else to do. I literally wrote a letter to the FTC saying, you said they're supposed to do this stuff and they don't do it. And they're like, oh, and they finally wrote back, they answered my letter, not to me, just to the world. Apparently I didn't even write the letter. But then they're like, here's our updated guidance. And then the search engine said, oh, thanks for that updated guidance. Still going to do whatever we want. And the FTC's like, all right, okay, because, our guidance is open to interpretation. So, yeah.
All right, lightning round topic number 2, a story I did. I think I did this late last Friday after last Friday's show. Facebook rolling out new mobile search filters on iOS. And so, Danny, my question for you, is Facebook ever going to get search right?
No. You know how people are like, Google doesn't have social in their DNA. Sorry, it's like Google doesn't have social in their DNA. Like, I don't think search is in Facebook's DNA, and I don't know if it's not in their DNA from being smart, like, and thinking about it in that way. I just think that it's a social platform. And they'll get closer to it, especially like with Messenger and people are searching and so on with it from there. But, I think their bigger challenge is if people want to do a search, they go to Google. Just like if they want to be social, they go to Facebook, unless they're youth. And then they go to, I don't know, somewhere else.
Snapchat.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other issue with Facebook, at least compared to Twitter, I mean, whenever I'm looking at something, I follow along on Twitter. I do a ton of searching on Twitter. Their search isn't necessarily that great. But I feel like there's way more public information out there on Twitter.
Right.
where you can just see what people think about X subject, what people are thinking about Marketing Land Live, but it's a lot more unfiltered. Where I feel like anytime you do a Facebook search, it's so filtered down to so many people have restrictions.
Yeah. The one area that I think Facebook, I'm kind of surprised that they don't do more search-wise, is in local, because they have so much data from user check-ins. They have so many millions of local business pages and all that sort of stuff. So I've just always been surprised that they don't put more of an emphasis into like developing a sort of local search experience. Maybe someday they will. Last topic on the lightning round, we already touched on this. BuzzFeed's exploding watermelon video proves Facebook Live is no joke, which was Amy's story. And so I guess my question for this is, Dan, does this mean next Friday on Marketing Land Live we are going to explode a fruit?
Yes, there'll be much fruit exploding. I don't know. We definitely want to do a lot more on Facebook Live. There's clearly a good audience there. People have tuned in now twice to, a good percentage of our readers. So we want to do stuff here that makes sense for people, though, right? So as I said, I hope the people viewing it through Facebook Live can hear this on Facebook Live. But, it would be great to do what we do here on Facebook Live, but it's not built for it yet.
Right.
You can't switch between speakers. You can't have multiple speakers there. So I don't know. We may try it again with Blab and see if it works better and make sure if we can get the sound going. And, if we can retransmit it, great. We'll try to do that. Certainly, if we're out at events, very easy for us to go out and give people a tour and give you a sense of stuff that's happening there. At our own conferences, if we're doing keynotes and we want to make sure those are shared to a broader audience, we'll be doing that as well. In fact, I ordered one of the new cameras specifically so we can do that. So,
nice.
I think for us, we want to do stuff on live, but we want to make sure it's appropriate for people, for our audience. So we probably won't just be doing watermelon things just to be doing watermelon things. But hey, you never know. If we can find some viral clickbaity stunt, maybe we'll do that as well.
That would work for me. All right.
And to me,
sorry. Go ahead.
To me, I think again, it shows that people are actually interested in live, right? That again, if BuzzFeed tries to do this again in 6 months, the number is going to be significantly down. But people do like live information, and it's an easy way that a retailer can run through, show a sales, like a sale item of the day. If you're at an event, you can run through, show the setup and everything like that. That could be really cool for our SMX shows. Just run through the conference hall and show everything, show lunch, what's coming, all that cool stuff. And again, I think it also touches on that article you were talking about before about unique content. It's a dead simple, easy way to just turn something on, go get content, turn it off, which is why they've invested so much.
All right, that sounds good. That wraps up the lightning round. What's coming up? We have earnings season starting next week, Google and Microsoft, and then many of the other companies we cover after that, and we'll be covering those. It's almost 10:30 Pacific time on Friday. Why don't we wrap things up, guys? Where can, Greg, you go first, then Danny, where can people find you and connect with you?
You can find me at Greg Finn, GREGFINN.
On Twitter.
On Twitter, yep.
On Twitter. Danny?
I'm just Danny Sullivan on Twitter. That's usually the place where I'm the most vocal, for better or worse. Then I post out on Facebook as well, too. It's same thing, Danny Sullivan. Instagram, it's Danny Sullivan. Snapchat, you got to go Sullivan Danny. Snapchat's a lot of fun. I do a lot of snapping when I'm traveling. So.
Wait. You didn't get Danny Sullivan on Snapchat. Somebody else?
Damn kids.
The race car driver?
Although whoever is the Danny Sullivan followed me, and I was like, okay, maybe I should follow you back.
Nice. All right, so I am at Matt McGee on Twitter, and that's the best place to contact me. You can find our websites at Marketingland on Twitter, at SEngineland on Twitter, Facebook.com/MarketingLand, Facebook.com/SearchEngineLand, and hopefully we will be back next Friday, hopefully at noon, hopefully back on Blab. If not, just kind of follow us on Twitter, and you can enjoy the.
I'm sure there's some other video platform we can
we'll
use.
Try it out next. We'll try it out next week. So yes, today was very interesting. Thank you all for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you next Friday. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.